Hey y'all, we back. Welcome back to my channel. Where is my ring light? Sorry guys. You could have borrowed one of mine. I thought it going to work out. I'm so happy. I'm rubbing off on her. Hey y'all. What's up, Two Rags? How you doing? I hope your day's going well. Hey Niqua. Hello, Knotty. Welcome. Yes, thank you, Niqua, for promoting. As always, she's such a good mod. Shout out to all my mods. Hey, Aaron. There you go. I see you, Aaron. All right, guys. Make sure you're hitting that like button as you loading up in the room. I wanted to jump on here to have a discussion. Can you guys hear me okay still? Let me know. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Welcome back to my channel. I want to get into this A Reid lawsuit and the toxic behavior that's promoted in the music industry. People don't talk about it enough, and it gets swept under the rug a lot, i.e. Russell Simmons, he was able to flee to another country, basically to avoid prosecution in America. And the problem I have with that is, like, that man's still sick, and you're leaving him to create more victims, by not addressing it. And why should a person be able to just flee the country after they have caused so much mayhem? I mean, his own children came out and spoke against him. Darn it. We're going to figure it out, Aaron. Yeah, his own family came out and spoke about it. Yes, exactly. And said what a horrible father he was and how he treated them and things like that. He was with Kimora Lee Simmons when she was a teenager. Those are the facts, okay? Those are the facts. She confirmed them. There's no allegedly there. And we know why he fled the country. But why is it because of a person's status in the industry and how much money they have, this behavior is being excused, all right? So we're going to get into A Reid. And I also want to reference Chris Brown, okay? Sloan, he's a dope YouTuber, recently did a video on Chris Brown. He's been on his heels, all right? So we're going to look at that as well. Also, Trey Songz, all the lawsuits that are against him about him SAing women and violating women. Yes, he was always a weirdo. He was always a weirdo. But I'm a lead with this. The New York Times article regarding A Reid's lawsuit. All right. It's crazy. So the Grammy-winning music executive Antonio Reid, who is known as A Reid, and rose in the industry working with artists including Usher and TLC, has been accused of SA and harassment in a lawsuit by Drew Dixon, who worked for Mr. Reid at Arista Records. All right. The suit filed in federal district court in Manhattan on Wednesday says that Mr. Reid, who was Miss Dixon's boss starting in mid-2000s, assaulted her twice. When she successfully rebuffed him on other occasions, the suit says he retaliated against her, blocking her ability to sign or cultivate artists like a young John Legend. She left the company in 2002, and though she made forays into the industry again, she never fully recovered her promising music tastemaker, whatever that means, basically her career. Hold on, guys. Let me log back in for my break. So, yeah, It's happening. It's happening. And, Keke Palmer spoke up against this. She's been saying this for years against Trey Songz and how he treated her. And she also, within the last year, like, what about Me Tooing the music industry? So, hold on. Why is this behavior accepted and coddled in the music industry? That's my question to the Knotty crew. How come if you're of a certain stature, this behavior goes over your head, goes over everyone's head, and there's no consequences, none whatsoever? There's a whole HBO special on Russell Simmons of women. He's just as bad as Bill Cosby, if you ask me. This thing is so slow. Exactly. It's on the HBO app. All right, so stepping back from a music career was devastating. Miss Dixon, who facilitated the recording of a platinum soundtrack and several hit singles, said in an interview, "I have an opportunity now to seek some degree of accountability, and that's really what I'm trying to do." So Miss Reid did not respond to multiple requests, or excuse me, Mr. Reid, L.A. Reid, did not respond to multiple requests for comments on Wednesday. Representatives for Mr. Reid's latest Ventura Mega, a music collective formed this year in partnership with Usher, said that they did not represent Mr. Reid personally and had no comments on the matter, but they had passed the request to his office. So HarperCollins, which published his memoirs, Sing to Me, my story of making music, finding magic, and searching for who's next, in 2017, did not respond to requests for comments, nor did Joe Katz, a prominent entertainment industry lawyer who has worked with Mr. Reid in the past. All right. So, Ms. Dixon's complaint falls under the Adult Survivors Act, which I did a video on that way back when in my early days of YouTubing, regarding the breakdown of the Adult Survivors Act, okay? And they said the floodgates are open, all victims come forward. And so she is taking advantage of this act to get justice. So the Adult Survivors Act, a New York law enacted last year that opened a 1-year window for civil lawsuits from anybody who was older than 18 when they say that abuse occurred. Ms. Dixon, 53, was an advocate for the law. The look back window closes on November 24th. I think they need to extend it. Oh! She's in the HBO documentary for Russell Simmons. What? That's crazy. This is Miss Dixon. That's Miss Dixon. So Miss Dixon first spoke out in 2017 when she was one of 3 women who accused the music mogul Russell Simmons of R-word. Boom. She said, if I can't get him, I'm going to get him. In the statement, he said, I vehemently deny all these allegations. That was Russell Simmons' response. So Miss Dixon, who had worked with Mr. Simmons at his Def Jam label, which was among the first to bring hip-hop to the mainstream, repeated her accusations in the 2020 documentary On the Record. So that's the name of the documentary, Nikwa. Her lawsuit against Mr. Reid states that Mr. Simmons R-word her in 1995, but does not name Mr. Simmons as a defendant. Ms. Dixon said in an interview that she was still evaluating her legal options when it comes to Mr. Simmons. So they trying to get him. Mr. Simmons has denied Ms. Dixon and other accusers' accusations in several settings, and told the Times in 2017 that all of my relationships have been consensual. So Miss Dixon left Def Jam and got a job at Arista Records, where she worked with the company's founder, Clive Davis, and rose to become vice president of A&R. She was involved with a number of notable songs, including Whitney Houston's My Love Is Yours and It's Not Right, But It's Okay. Oh, she did that song? Hold on, guys. The Plantation calls. Thank you, Vicky. I appreciate you. Just trying to stay warm. Thank y'all for being patient with me. My behind belongs to the plantation right now. All right, let me just get this together and send it where I need it to go. So we getting into the A Reid lawsuit, and we found out that what's her name? Her last name is Dixon, but I want her full name. Drew Dixon. She was an accuser of Russell Simmons and also now L.A. Reid. And now Russell Simmons has fled the country. So she is now going after L.A. Reid. And this is a culture. The R word culture is prominent in the music industry. And Kiki Palmer has been speaking about it for years. These women have been speaking about it for years. And she's seeking to get some type of justice. And I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. I mean, she was violated over and over again. First by Russell Simmons, then she changed companies and went to Arista Record and was faced with the same type of behavior. Why do men in the music industry feel like it is okay to prey on women and to take advantage of women and to SA women and R word women? That's the question I'm asking my Knotty crew. Because we see it over and over again, but there's no consequences for it. There's no consequences for it at all. Oh, wait. Oops, wrong team. Boom. Now we can get back to business. Right? So she has brought this lawsuit under the Adult Survivors Act. All right. And the statute of limitation for that is running out in November. So she made it in a nick of time. She spoke out about the situation with Russell Simmons. Nothing was ever done. If you go and check out the documentary on HBO, there was retaliation for her even speaking up. That's why she ended up leaving Def Jam. All right. Now, Drew Dixon, she's responsible for a lot of music in the industry. She's responsible for bringing hip hop mainstream. She's responsible for a lot of Whitney Houston's hits. So we're re-referencing the New York Times article. So in 2001, the suit says Arista held a company-wide retreat in Puerto Rico, and Miss Dixon was invited to fly alongside Mr. Reid and other executives on the private plane. Then arrived and discovered that no other passengers were on board. Mr. Reid, the complaint says, asked her to sit next to him to go over materials for the presentation. And then he began playing with her hair, kissing her, and digitally penetration. Yeah. Her vulva without her consent. Basically, he did the deed. Penetrated her. She spent the rest of the flight in the days, the complaint says. Though the company had booked her hotel room, she shared her assistance and traveled home on a commercial flight. So Miss Dixon then took pains to avoid being alone with Mr. Reid, who invited her to meetings in his room Okay. Invited her in meeting in his rooms at the Four Seasons in Manhattan. Night after night, the suit says. She spoke with a life coach to whom she disclosed the assault to about how to evade him while also maintaining her job. She was eager to keep her position only for professional reasons, but because a recent cancer diagnosis made her fear losing her health insurance, the suit says. When Miss Dixon succeeded at circumventing Mr. Reid's advances, the suit says, he retaliated against her by embarrassing her in front of others or otherwise being curt and unprofessional, and punished the artist. Miss Dixon had already signed, or so basically the artist that she signed, okay, they also took retaliation against them by not promoting their music. So promotional and recording budgets were suddenly reduced dramatically or frozen altogether. Song demos and artist auditions were flatly rejected. Whoa. And see, that's what they have to face. And that's why a lot of the women do not speak out, because they could get blackballed. So Dixon says, it was very clear that I was being punished because I would not comply. So this is the culture promoted in the industry. This is 2 major labels she worked at, and she had to experience this behavior, this type of assault. No one should have to work under these conditions, number one. You should not be required to sleep with your boss. Exactly. Hey, Juice. How you doing, Queens? Thank y'all for joining me. So after a work event later in 2001, when Miss Dixon accepted an offer for a ride home from Mr. Reid in his chauffeured car, a mistake, she said in the interview, he assaulted her again, the suit says. The pattern of resistance and retaliation continued. This is crazy. So she left the company in 2002 and she attended Harvard Business School. A lot of these details you'll see. There's a documentary on HBO, the app, called On the Record. Several women are speaking out against Russell Simmons, number one. All right. But I asked my Knotty crew, why is the art culture so glorified in the music industry? And if you speak up, you have to risk losing your career. This is the woman. And I saw that documentary. And what I don't like is how Russell Simmons was able to escape prosecution by fleeing to another country where he can now create more victims, because the behavior is still there. Nothing changed about it. And we know that because his own daughters are speaking out about how he treats them as women. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And when is the music industry going to be Me Too? All right. We also hear stories about Chris Brown over and over again. Every time he's a great artist, but horrible person. He recently assaulted Usher, allegedly. You understand? And that's another man. This behavior is disgusting. Now, Sloan, another YouTuber who I love because he does a lot of breakdowns of these weird behaviors, recently did a video regarding Chris Brown and how another lawsuit is being brought forth. Okay, let's check it out.
This season, Vistaprint has everything you need to blow up.
Chris Brown smashed a bottle of tequila on his head. He was knocked unconscious. Brown continued to stomp on him.
Victim alleges that Chris Brown slapped her.
The 24-year-old claims that Brown her.
A young woman was falsely imprisoned and sexually assaulted at Brown's
I love
house.
Sloan.
A professional photographer says Chris Brown punched
Here we go.
He took the gun out like this, put it in my face, and said, "Get the F out."
He threw a rock at his mother's windshield.
Yo, y'all gonna stop playing with me like I'm the villain out here. Chris Brown is dangerous and out of control. He has been in trouble with the cops time and time again. It started with beating Rihanna, but since then it has grown into a bigger problem. And now there's nobody safe in Chris's life. His mother isn't safe, his friends aren't safe, and he's going to continue harming people until it's too late. So let's get into it.
You heard that. Until it's too late. How
I'm
far?
not one to determine whether someone is mentally ill or not, but there's something going on with Chris Brown because he is so incredibly violent. He needs to get some other coping skills because beating up everyone who upsets you is not a way to live. And more recently, he's been sued for allegedly beating up a man at a London nightclub. Oh, the nightclub where you're supposed to go and have fun, yet Chris Brown is going out and beating up people. Reports write that Chris Brown beat the hell out of a man at a London nightclub, and his injuries were so bad he ended up in a hospital. Now, the victim's name is Abe, and he claims that Chris smashed him over the head with a bottle of Don Julio 1942 tequila, which I think that's like a nice brand. I had my first Don Julio shot when I was in New York for Halloween, but it happened back in February.
But yet he has an entourage.
England.
He's able to still continue. I mean, and then you wonder why you're not invited to reward shows, Chris. It's because you're violent. The squirrels be scaring me. All right. He's going to talk about another assault against a woman. Also, Trey Songz, several lawsuits. Why is this behavior coddled in the music industry? That's the pattern. So when people want to step up, they try to retaliate and tarnish your reputation. I wonder where that behavior started.
Chris is not only physically going after him, but like going after his career.
Chris goes after men and women.
Chris for at least 7 years and thought Chris was coming up to him to hug him in the club instead of attacking him 3 times with a tequila bottle. Abe says his injuries may be permanent and he's suffering serious emotional distress and trauma. So he is suing Chris Brown for the damages.
Do you know what else is getting old? Chris Brown only making headlines when he beats someone up or makes fun of women. That's what I think is getting old. Chris is being sued by a friend of his. This friend is claiming that Chris Brown smashed a bottle of tequila on his head at a nightclub in London. He was knocked unconscious, and then Brown continued to stomp on him, which resulted in cuts on his head and torn ligaments in his leg. That's y'all's goat, though. Somebody on Twitter said, I don't understand how you let this cocaine bear run around in 2023. And that's literally how I feel, too. How is this man still out and about? Why do people still hang out with him? He's violent, he's evil, and quite frankly, a person. Like, do you know how much evidence you need to have a 5-year restraining order granted against you? It's literally crickets about this man in the press, unless he's doing something awful. Enough already.
Why is he out about and living his best life when he's so problematic? He's giving some Anna Delvey energy as well, because this same month he also had a lawsuit from City National Bank, the bank that Anna Delvey was able to steal from, because he had a $2 million loan that he didn't pay off. It turns out the loan was used to buy a couple of Popeyes restaurants. I don't know why he owns those Popeye restaurants. Maybe he really likes them, but it's weird. And even though the loan is a big problem, the bigger problem is the physical violence, and it just continues. I mean, just in January, supposedly, he got into a physical altercation with Usher. Supposedly, Usher left with a bloody nose after he met up with Chris Brown in a parking lot of his party venue. And there's been footage. I guess this went down in Vegas. They were at the Skate Rock City roller rink when they were celebrating Chris Brown's 34th birthday party, and he decided to get into a fight with Usher. Usher and Chris Brown have been close for a long time, personally and professionally, so I don't know what could have instigated this type of altercation.
It's crazy. And I think it's the drugs. It's crazy. Why is this behavior still allowed? Why isn't it there? And Chris Brown has had consequences. He doesn't seem to care.
Go from this joyous happy birthday moment to a fight in the parking lot. Well, TMZ got a video
It's
of
true,
Chris
Shaby.
Chris Brown is arguing with Tiana Taylor, and then it leads into a fight with Usher. It seems like Usher was trying to de-escalate the situation, but when it comes to Chris Brown, there's no de-escalating. And I guess Chris got annoyed with Tiana because she was ignoring him when he was trying to talk to her at the party, and it all
Maybe because she's scared.
obviously he can't handle rejection well. Chris Brown allegedly started to yell at her, and that's when Usher intervened. Chris wasn't having it and began cursing at both Tiana and Usher before leaving the skating rink with his crew. Supposedly, he started to focus his anger on Usher, and eventually they exited the facility because it got all rowdy. An eyewitness tells TMZ that they saw Usher go behind a string of charter buses that were parked in the lot where Chris and his crew were at. We're told a short time later, Usher emerged with a bloody nose.
It's sad. It's sad. He has a reputation, but I think they feel like they're above the law because they have money. That's how I feel.
Even fighting with his friends, fighting with Usher, Tiana Taylor, fighting with that guy Abe, fighting with anyone. I mean, throwback to what he did to Rihanna, that was traumatizing. But Rihanna isn't his only victim, because in January 2022, a woman filed a lawsuit claiming that she was R-worded and drugged by Chris Brown. She claims the incident went down on December 30th, 2020 on a yacht in Miami. The woman also detailed 2 encounters with Chris Brown, including an instance in August 2021 when Chris Brown became irate because she would not respond
Thank
to his
you,
alleged
Essence.
sexual advances. It turns out her case didn't go far because she had a relationship with Chris Brown after the alleged R word, and she was asking him to hang out. And there's a complicated relationship when it comes to like an abuser and a victim, so essentially this lawsuit didn't make it far. But in June 2021, Chris Brown was accused of striking a woman at his home. LA police responded to a call from a woman at Chris Brown's home claiming that a male suspect, reportedly Chris Brown, struck her in the back of the head. Chris Brown was no longer home when the
Hold on.
You're still
Okay, y'all get the point, right?
What are you doing?
Y'all get the point, okay? The patterns of behaviors are here, all right? It doesn't start. It started with Russell Simmons, okay? That Drew Dixon has been accusing them of this behavior, and she said in a documentary on HBO that this behavior is common in the industry. They just feel entitled. They feel like they can just treat people how they want. And I'm just here to say, why is this tolerated? Why are these artists still supported? Even and I love Chris Brown's music. It's messed up. But you also see it with Trey Songz. Problematic behavior everywhere. Lawsuits everywhere. Everywhere. From women saying that he was inappropriate with them. Why in the music industry is it coddled? Why is the R word culture a thing? Why is Russell Simmons able to flee the country and escape charges? So I'm here to say, good for Drew Dixon, because she's been fighting for years and trying to figure out how to get justice for herself for decades. All right. And it's so sad because she contributed so many great things to the music industry. She made hip hop mainstream. Okay? She did that. She wrote hits for people like Whitney Houston. And she had to totally change her career to escape the R word culture. Hollywood too. All right. So they did their Me Too movement for Hollywood. Keke Palmer even has spoken out. When is the music industry going to be Me Too? Why is our culture and SA culture tolerated? And if you speak up, you lose your career, your reputation gets tarnished. That sounds like retaliation tactics to me. And I just think more people need to speak on it seriously, and people need to come forward. But Drew Dixon was able to take advantage of the Adult Survivor Act. If you go back to my old videos, I discussed it. I know people personally who were able to use this, and they contacted them directly. Okay. But it's the foundation of the industry. Exactly. Do you know what the women go through in the industry? Like, even if they want to get a beat or a song or get on the track, a lot of these producers will require them to sleep with them or require them to do some heinous things. I mean, Kaya recently spoke about it. How some of these girls gotta poop on these guys or eat groceries just to get on a song. Why the hazing of women? And it's because it's run by patriarchs. They want to rule the world. So I just wanted to highlight, it's not just A Reid, it's the culture in the music industry that's the problem. It's the culture in the music industry. And it's dangerous for women. And that's why I don't even understand how groupies still exist the way they get treated. Seriously. Groupies, it used to be about partying and stuff like that. But in the music industry, it's different. It's different. Ooh, good point, Essence. It goes back to the inception of Hollywood. But because Chris Brown has not been canceled, he's been able to continue this behavior, and he's gotten worse through the years. He's gotten so bad. And I think it's allegedly the Coco, the white girl. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It has him acting erratic. And then you add alcohol to that, toxic. And I thought he was trying to turn things around. Like, once he became a father, they were smutting all the girls out, passing them around. Who knows? Maybe that's why Jaguar is so damaged, because of what she went through in the industry. But there's retaliation taxes if you speak up, and that's why so many people don't speak up. And I think more people need to build up the courage to speak up to prevent other people from getting hurt. And that's what bugs me about Russell Simmons. Like, I feel like a person like him, a criminal like him, should be extradited back to face the charges, just like they did Prince Andrew. See? Jag was gang rape. That's because that culture is promoted. Hence the reason why you see these girls tearing up their bodies with plastic surgery, because they're getting torn down. They're getting torn down, and it's not okay. It's not okay. And I just wanted to have an open discussion about it. But good for Drew Dixon. I'm behind her. I watched that documentary. I remember when she first came out speaking about it. Okay? And she said, if I can't get one, I'm going to get the other one. Got to take it to be down. And then if you're not down, you're ostracized. Like the India Iries. And then your music is not promoted as much, and you have no other choice but to go independent. But I think independent is the way to go. Yes, I do. Because you won't expose yourself to this toxic environment. Food for thought. I wouldn't want any of my girls to be in Hollywood or the music industry. Look, 2018, he's sued by a woman.
Threats and the presence of guns to intimidate, coerce, and force
Bring
female
back up.
guests to perform certain things. A lot of different incidents that the police have been involved with. Like, I mean, I wonder how many hours Chris Brown has spent of his life just talking to the authorities. Every year it's something new. I mean, in 2017, he was accused of supposedly harming a woman and actually 2 others at his home during a party. This woman claimed that the group used drugs, alcohol, and threats and the presence of guns to intimidate, coerce, and force female guests to perform certain things. If there's enough people talking about this, where there's smoke, there is fire. Of course, Chris Brown is denying the allegations. He denies all of these allegations, and every allegation is dismissed. And there's a settlement out of court. So someone's getting paid for their silence. But in the filing, they claim that Chris Brown's home was enclosed with a gate and fence, and the gate required a code, making it impossible to leave. She claims that Chris Brown provided more alcohol and drugs, such as cocaine, Molly, and marijuana, and claims that he also gave every woman at the party a clear pill filled with white powder and told them to have a good time. At one point, the woman's mother became concerned about her daughter and called the police to Chris Brown's home as she located her through a tracking device on the daughter's phone. Because you guys know, at this point, Chris doesn't allow anyone to have their phone while in his home. After the police were called, she claims that she grew intimidated by Chris Brown, and she alleges she saw him and one of his buddies with multiple guns inside the home. She also claims that she saw all of them hide a duffel bag full of guns when the police were trying to get into the property. She claims that she refused to undress even as Chris Brown allegedly began to play loud music to cover up the sounds of any resistance. She claims that he also began to play adult films loudly to create a hyper-sexualized environment in the sealed bedroom.
I wasn't avoiding therapy, but I just didn't think it was for me. But
Okay.
it completely changed for me when
She claims that she was assaulted twice by one of his friends.
He's just a younger L.A. Reid. It's little L.A. Reids and Russell Simmons running through the industry. Okay? Yes, Trey Songz too. Keke Palmer, she been came out about Trey Songz, but nothing's ever done. They're able to use their money to silence people, and I don't think that's right. And I think these people need to really start going to the police and pressing charges first, so that they can be criminally accounted for. Because I highly doubt Chris Brown and Trey Songz will be that tough in jail, okay? All them grown men going after they behinds. I said it. I said it. And I think more people need to speak up about this. It's messed up. They need to be canceled. Trey Songz, L.A. Reid, Russell Simmons, all of them. They need to be criminally prosecuted. Trey Songz got several lawsuits going on right now, and all they get to do is pay these people off. Well, Drew Dixon is not taking no payment. She's not in it for the money. She's in it for the justice, and I stand behind her. And for those of you who don't know who Drew Dixon is, let me show you. Here he is, and here she is, and I referenced the New York Times article. I want to stand behind her. She has suffered enough. She has suffered enough, and there's a lot more Drew Dixons out there. And hopefully, she will give them the courage to come forward. Okay? She did a documentary on HBO called On the Record. She brought a lawsuit against L.A. Reid, rightfully so, because he's a creep. And because this behavior has been perpetuated for so long, now you have little minions all around. 1 second, guys. Plantation calls. Thank you for calling I'm sorry, I had a work call. I'm sorry, guys. So yeah. So we got into the lawsuit for L.A. Reid, and come to find out, Drew Dixon, she's the same woman that accused Russell Simmons of R-wording her. All right, and she wasn't able to get justice from Russell because he fled the country to avoid prosecution. So she's taking up the lawsuit with L.A. Reid. She worked for two major industry record labels in the industry. She worked for Def Jam, and when she couldn't take that toxic environment, she went to Arista Records looking for another opportunity, and still had to encounter that same type of behavior. And the things that we discussed is this behavior is all over the place in the music industry. Keke Palmer has been speaking out for years in regards to hashtag me too on the music industry. All right, so rightfully so, I hope Drew gets some type of justice. I hope La Reid is held accountable for his horrible behavior. I mean, because she dealt with years of retaliation. You know how many artists that could have been mainstream that he suppressed because she wouldn't give up the cootie cat. I'll be damned if I work for some company and I'm required to give my body. What is wrong with this? What is wrong with this world? Like, it is this over sexualized. Whole culture is this prominent. Like, maybe whole culture is their way of taking back their power because they're treated that way anyway. Food for thought. I'm going to leave it in the comments. I wanted to jump over on here and review the New York Times article. I want to reference that. Also, I want to reference Sloan. I love him. He's a great YouTuber. He's straight to the point, but he puts the facts out there, okay? He just did a breakdown of Chris Brown and all his charges. So check out the full video. Also, Trey Songz and all his lawsuits. These men are sexual deviants in the industry. And that behavior is coddled. And when you speak up, now they get to retaliate. They get to ruin your reputation. They get to take your job. It's disgusting. So I appreciate you all joining. I just wanted to jump on here to give my thoughts. But this has gone on way too long. People need to start speaking up. And people need to start pressing charges. Forget the money. Forget the lawsuits. Press charges. Press charges. Hold them accountable. That's what I say. All right, guys. G-Mom, thank you. Deborah C, thank you. Essence, thank you. Go over to The Essence and subscribe to her channel. Shaby, thank you for joining. Juice, thank you for joining. Vicky, thank you so much for joining. Do-Rags, Nikwa, I appreciate you all for joining the discussion. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Share this content. Let's get this word out here in the world. Let's get the conversation going all over the world. And maybe that'll give people pause before they do these SAs and R-word on people. Period. Appreciate you all. Have a wonderful day.